martial arts, movements and stretching. In today's video I want to go through a few basic stretches, add a few variations and movements to them to allow us to get a better warm up, create a better range of motion and to generally develop our flexibility. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Let's jump in. Before we start, if we're new to stretching or these kind of stretches, then ideally we want to be warmed up first. If we're already aware of our limits and how our body works, then jump straight in. Now remember, you shouldn't be feeling any kind of pain, only slight discomfort. So if you are feeling pain, come out of it, go back in and just don't push yourself as far. So the first stretch we're going to go through is from a warrior squat. It's like a normal squat, only wider. It's even a horse stance in some styles. This is going to target our adductors, so the inside of our legs and our groin. With this, we want to make sure that our knees are tracking over our feet. So our knees never want to be coming inside. If we find that they are, then we just want to bring our feet along with it. Again, it's important that our knees are tracking over our feet the whole time. So we're going to go into this position. We're going to lean forward and we're going to place the forearms on the inside of the knees whilst concentrating on sinking the hips as much as we can, trying to relax. So I can push out from here. If this is too easy, we can step further out. And what we can also do is we can also just gently rock side to side. So this kind of movement is just going to help us warm up and create that better range of motion. From there, what we can do is we can go onto the blade of the foot on one side and of course swap. What we can also do is place the hand on the inside of the knee, lock the arm out and push. So this will target our hips. And of course, swapping sides. A slight variation from this, if we bring our feet in, we can rock onto the blade of the foot on one and go to the ball of the foot on the other. From here, we can push out onto the knee, again opening up the hips. If this is too difficult, we can bring the foot in and do the same thing. And from there, we can rock over to the other side and do the exact same thing. Now it's important to make sure any places where you feel a stretch, where you're most tense, you really need to concentrate on those areas. The next stretch is the straddle stretch, which is this. So this is going to target our adductors and our groin. So what we're going to do is we're going to twist our chest to face our leg and we're going to lean forward. We need to make sure that we're leaning forward and aiming to touch our chest to our legs rather than our heads to our knees. The simple reason for that is to prevent putting any strain on the neck or the back and just generate a better stretch as well. So from there we can twist, go down towards the leg and of course we can hold. Another variation is to keep our chest facing forward. Again, we're going to drop our sides towards our knee, our leg, and not our heads. So we're going to drop down first, grab the leg, and then come over. And of course, switching sides, holding for as long as you want to. Now it's important that once we do that, we're creating space within the muscles, within the joints. So we need to take advantage of that. So each time we've leant to a side, what we're going to do is we're going to push ourselves further forward. So it might even be a few inches, it might only be a few millimeters the difference, but we need to make sure that we're actually trying to use the fact that we've actually warmed up to the sides. So of course we can lean forward. If we can place our hands on the floor and just stay here, as long as we're feeling a stretch. If you can put your elbows onto the floor, again as long as you're feeling a stretch. And if you're much more advanced, if you're much more flexible, then you can put your hands forward and just try to relax as long as possible. Now I'm currently recovering from an injury, so it's a lot more difficult than what it normally is. A little bit of variation in terms of leaning forward as well. We can go to the side, so a lot of people tend to go to the foot or the front, but of course we can lean to the sides as well. And of course going both sides. Just staying there, relaxing, taking as long as we need to. Another slight variation as well is if we place our hands on the floor, what we're going to do is we're going to try and keep our back straight, and we're going to try and circle from our hips. So it's almost like you're trying to push your hips in a circular motion. So this will just generally help you loosen up and create that better range of motion as well. Especially for a warm-up, this will get you loosened up a lot faster. So we're going to place our hands on the floor and just rotate round. And of course, go the other way. And then if we want to, we can of course repeat leaning side to side, and that will help. If you struggle with a straddle and you find that you're sitting before your hips, then this will help you. So what I mean by that is that when you go into a straddle, if you find that you're here and you're leaning back and you can't seem to sit upright, then what we can do is we can take this stretch to the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our backs against the wall, focusing on our legs bent to begin with and just making sure we're against the wall. We can then place our feet out and pull ourselves up against the wall so our back is straight. So of course it doesn't matter if you're starting here or if you're wider. Now if you're struggling with it and again you sat before your hips, then this will help, definitely. Of course what we can do to develop the straddle from here is we can of course just learn to relax and feel the stretch here. We can of course go wider whenever we're ready, or we can even place our hands against the wall and just push away so we're still feeling that stretch. And then once you're here, what you can do is you can bring it away from the wall. So of course you may just start with a straddle like this, very narrow but upright, and of course you can just work on your flexibility from there. The next stretch is a quad stretch. So it's a variation of the runner's quad stretch, just on the ground. Personally, I prefer this one simply because I can change the level of stretch, of the intensity, very easily. And you're on the floor, so of course it's taking that balance element out of it as well. So this is going to target the front of the legs. Now we're going to be starting on the side, just like this. The leg that is on the floor, we're going to bring up towards our chest, just like this. The reason that we do this is once we actually engage the stretch, it prevents the hips from tilting forward, which just basically prevents us from getting a better quad stretch. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to place the back foot behind, and then we're going to simply lean to the side. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to push our hips up, and this will engage the stretch. Now if this is too easy, we can either lie back down. If you want to place a pillow there and stay there for a little bit, of course you can do. Or what you can do is you can focus on driving the hips up and creating more of a stretch that way. Now what we can do as well, if we're finding this a little bit too much, even in this position rather than just up here, we can place the other foot underneath the knee just to take a little bit of tension off. So once we're here and we're in this position, if this is where we're starting from, what we can work towards is basically bringing this foot out and placing the knee on the ground. So of course that is up to you and what your flexibility is like. The next stretch is for our glutes, so our bum. It's a variation of a common glute stretch, and I'll show you that in a moment. I believe that it's a much safer one, and it's also a lot more active as well. We can change the depth of how much stretch we're feeling, the intensity of it, and we're just generally moving in the stretch as well. So actively working within a stretch is much better than just holding a static stretch. So the common glute stretch would be starting from here. You'd place your foot onto your knee, you'd lie back and you'd pull your knee in, and you'd feel it on the outside, so the glutes. It's going to take the intensity off our knee because we're not just trying to focus on driving this leg up and feeling excess pressure, and it's also going to be a stretch that we can change the level of intensity of very quickly. So we're going to start in the same position, so here, and we're going to bring this leg up and sit in this position. Now to change the level of intensity, we can either bring that leg forward or we can bring it closer to us. And of course, if we wanted to lift ourselves off, then we can move within it. And of course, we can also walk our hands closer to our knee as well, and then ease off when it's too much. These are just a few stretches that we've developed to become more active and to get a better range of motion. So hopefully something has helped. I will also be covering more videos like this in the future. So please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. If you've got any comments or questions, ask below, and I'll see you next time.